Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? It's time for another live Q&A. Let me just switch the camera up here. There we go. Yes, guys, it's a live Q&A session. It's Wednesday, and you know, I was nursing a bit of a dehydration, heat-induced migraine of sorts about an hour ago, maybe an hour or two ago. Talking to my wife, looking at cars because we need a new car, trying to figure out what we can and can't do, looking at finance, just silly stuff, you know. As the night was going on, I realized, like, I need to do a live show. Like, I need to do a live show. It's Wednesday evening. I've got to keep up appearances. I've got to keep up the schedule. And I thought to myself, like, I don't even know. I haven't prepared anything. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's called live Q&A. Why don't I let the people tell me what to talk about for once instead? Because normally I just end up doing a full presentation for like an hour or two and barely have any time to actually let anybody ask me any questions or answer any questions. So I figured, well, tonight's as good a night as any. So I quickly whipped up a thumbnail, which you guys just saw there, which is on the screen now. And yes, this is it, guys. This is your chance to ask me questions. This is it. If you made it early in the show and you're listening to me, you're just coming in, get something in. What do you want to hear me talk about? What's on your mind? What do you want to get my opinions on, my ideas on, anything at all? This is your chance to talk with me. I'm here with you. I'm right here with you. That's right. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting for some questions to roll in, I can just riff. I can just roll. You know, I can do what I need to do. And, you know, I have been watching the news. I did a bit of a talk last Sunday about war, you know, and I could continue the news cycle media that everyone else is doing and just focus highly on the Middle East right now and what's going on with Iran and Israel and the USA and the rest. But I figured, like, you're probably all kind of fatigued with that stuff. Maybe this can just be an opportunity, kind of like a therapy session, to maybe take a break from that kind of thing and shift focus onto something else, perhaps. But again, I kind of covered my brief take on that last time. And, you know, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I only know probably as much as people share with me on my Telegram group. I don't watch TV. And I've tried my best just not to get sucked into this type of thing. You know, I mean, they've been saying that Iran has the potential for nuclear weapons for over like 20, 30 years now, or something like that. And it's kind of, it seems like a very similar playbook just being reiterated and reused. And I'm just going to close the window over here because something incredibly noisy is going on. Bear with me. Oh. And yeah, a bunch of ruffians and youths are walking down the ginnel behind my house. No, I'm kidding. They look all right. They're just drunk, I think, or noisy. But yeah, I've kind of covered the war thing there. And I released a video on Tuesday in the evening on my channel where I kind of played an old clip which was shared in the Telegram, where I'm kind of talking about the UFO perhaps being New Jerusalem theory. And I was never stating it as complete fact, so that is the way it's going to go down. There's a lot of nuance in how end times eschatology kind of interprets the descent of New Jerusalem, of Mount Zion, and when that takes place necessarily, and what is the camp of saints versus the beloved city, and is it the Middle East in Jerusalem, or could it be interpreted as something else? And I was kind of playing with the idea of the alien invasion agenda and how we could make parallels to something like a giant floating city in the sky, which the only biblical precedence we have for that is New Jerusalem descending from heaven. Then how would people interpret witnessing such an event? And I gave a hypothetical that, well, most of the world would consider it as aliens invading. I don't think they have any context to interpret it as anything else, because they don't really know much or think much about the concept of a floating city from heaven, you know. All they have is the programming to fall back on. And I think some people got a bit confused with what I'm trying to say, a bit angry, and got theologically, I don't know what's the word, like the hackles were up, like a tiny little Jack Russell nipping at your heels. You know, they were not happy with the idea that I was even talking or contemplating about the idea that the people will not hear or know that it's Christ when he appears. And it's kind of like, yeah, no, maybe for the pre-tribulation revelation time on the timeline of pre-tribulation, sure, I think everyone will know when it's Christ returning to establish his millennial reign. But there's still this confusion when people hear me talk about it, and people give all these arguments and say, go watch this debunking video type attitude. And it's kind of, well, all your arguments you just gave me are literally based on the idea that the millennial reign is eternal. And it's kind of like, you think we're living in the millennial reign now? You think in the millennial reign we'd have such things as media, you know, and the BBC would still be around, and it'll be a total leveling of all communication systems when tribulation comes. There won't be anything like that anymore in the little season or in the millennial reign. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. We're not in the millennial reign anymore. We're in the little season. Why wouldn't there be media re-established in the little season? Sure, during the millennial reign, we don't need stupid things like internet or TV, I'm sure, but when you're living in an age of deceit, then propaganda is the main weapon to create that deceit. So we would be in a world where the printing press is suddenly invented and mass media is evolved to what it is today. You know, that's what would happen in the little season. But I feel like a lot of people get angry with this. I feel like they can't see beyond, like, the dogma is the only word for it. Like, what the pastor told them and what they have been told is the only interpretation of scripture their entire life. And it's kind of, they can't add nuance to the worldview. They can't imagine what a little season would actually be like, because they've never really actually thought about it. It's always been a footnote in their research and eschatological worldviews. And when you actually sit down and really think about what would a little season look like, it's not just some passing happenstance where the devil's very quickly dealt with and that's that. You know, it would be really complicated, and we don't know how long it actually would be, and we don't know what the people living at that time would actually be living under until you really think about it and you realize, well, actually, you know, that could be us, you know. And there's a lot of people who then want to throw like the really odd, like the sect therein of Christianity, who has this very specific interpretation of what Revelation is really all about. It's like, we know where we are on the prophetic timeline, because in the apocryphal text, it tells you exactly the line of US presidents to today. And it's kind of, well, you know, the Bible wasn't talking about US presidents. What are you on about? It's kind of, but that's kind of the lunacy interpretation that gets laid onto this old text. It's about me, my time, my generation type attitude, when we still think tribulation's to come, because we have to frame it and square it to make sense of the fact that Christ hasn't returned with his millennial reign yet for 2,000 years. So they have to stretch it out and then start applying it to the rulers today, rather than likely the kings and rulers he was really talking about in the time when it was written by John. You know, that's more likely what the realistic truth is. But it's kind of like, they're in like this odd haze. And because I kind of went out of the game for a little bit, you know, and that was an old clip, by the way, where I was talking to Madeline like maybe 6 months ago. It was just a very short clip, from a show on her channel. And she's done a lot of work since then on other things about the the Strait and the international date line and the 3 time zones of missing time and all this type of thing, and that could be hiding the land of Jesus. And it's a lot of great work since then, and I've been watching, but I'm saying that clip was quite old and I've been out of the game for a while, and I just thought I'd release it because someone shared it on Telegram. I thought that's a good clip. Let's just chuck it out there. I need something for Tuesday night. Why not? Bit of fun, something short, something easy to share. And just the comments really reminded me of just how exacerbating it is to be in the Little Caesar movement and make videos about it regularly. And I know that 98% of you are wonderful, are great, supportive, inquisitive, ask the right questions, push the boundaries in the right ways respectfully, and, are really just wonderful. But there's this contingent of people who are just so angry and so self-righteous and so just... I cringe reading their stuff and listening to them. I despair at it. And I literally... this guy left his comment and I took the bait and I just said something as simple like, why would it be that way? Why couldn't there be media in the Little Season? And then he sent me this massive, too long, didn't read paragraph. Got you. What about this? What about that? And it's kind of like, again, his points were crap. They were total garbage and do not really hit on the points and were complete straw men based on a fallacy I never even brought up or mentioned. And obviously on his basic premise, again, that the millennial reign is forever or something, and the Little Season is not any different than the millennial reign. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, didn't respond because I looked at it and just went like, I remember why I left now. Why did I take the bait? What was the point? What's the point? It's like you're constantly smashing your face against a brick wall. There's no point to it. You're arguing with an immovable object, and I don't know. It was just one of those reminders. It's kind of, yeah. And look, I believe the Little Season. I'm in. I think that's where we are in the timeline, and I've produced so much work on it, hours and hours and hours of research and content on the matter, fleshing out all the nuances and ideas, all in a playlist on my channel. Go and check it out. It's not going anywhere. And I got a lot of messages recently because I posted that clip as well from people saying things like, finally some interesting content again. It's kind of, Paul, you need to keep talking about this more. We'll make more content about this. And it's kind of, there are other things to talk about. And I don't know. I felt like maybe it was a mistake to dip my toes back in. And I wasn't even dipping them back in. It was just a throwaway clip from an old video from ages ago, But it's rough. It's rough, and like I said, this theory is in its teen. It's not in its infancy anymore. It's in its toddler stage now. We're toddling about doing the best we can. I'm still trying to get to grips with everything, but it's grown up quite substantially from when we kind of nursed this from birth, like 4 to 5 years ago. And again, I was just an observer then. I only got into the game like 2 years ago. It's interesting. Anyway, back to the chat. Anyone got any questions? Here we are. Jerry Cahill, thanks for the donation. I appreciate that. I've got Madame Medusa has left one. Let me just quickly catch up with the chat before I answer that question. Make sure no one said anything else. Sorry about the headache, says Jerry. So don't worry. I took some paracetamol like 2 hours ago. It's relatively kicked in now, and I'm kind of okay. I've always had migraines my entire life. I'm used to it. You got to just carry on. That's right. Here we go. What are your thoughts on the theory that the Holy Land is in the USA? I think it's fascinating. I think there's a lot to be said for the geographical locations of many biblical events are not where they tell us they were today. I think there's a lot to it. I think the Grand Canyon is an extremely fascinating place, which you are not allowed to even go and explore, like 90% of it. There are places that are named after places in Egypt all over the place in the Grand Canyon as well, and they found Egyptian artifacts there. So I think it's highly questionable about where the true biblical story, from start to finish, the movement of the people of God, and to where we are today, to the coming of the Savior. I think all of it is up for question. And I think if we are in a little season, then yeah, absolutely, like that's on the table for deceit. Like, not only do we confuse them about what time they're in, but we'll also confuse them about where everything actually happened. So we'll get them concentrating in all the wrong places, never looking in the right places to find the right clues. But then I heard there's arguments saying, like, well, some research has found where Noah's Ark is, and that lines up perfectly with what we know to the Middle East and all this type of thing. And it's kind of, well, maybe, how do you know that's not just a load of made up nonsense either? We don't know. There's so much we do not know. And it's kind of, for example, corn being talked about in the Bible. That's only grows in America. I think there's another type of thing. There's loads of examples, like a certain type of tree only grows in America that's mentioned a lot in the Bible. And it's kind of, there's so many that hints that imply, yeah, there's something to this. But at the same time, there's a lot of hints and archaeological discoveries happening all throughout Europe and the Middle East that imply that actually, this is the region where they say a lot of places were and were as well. There's also that side of it. So I'm thinking more along the lines of, it's not that America itself as a place today, as a continent today, is special, and that's where it all kind of went down. It's more that before tribulation took place and 536 kicked off, as it's described, so-called, where all the volcanoes kind of erupted all at once and all mountains and lands were shifted from their foundations. I think it's possible America was connected to Europe and the Middle East, and maybe there wasn't ocean as much as we understand it to be, like we have today. And it was all connected by land bridges and masses. And in a way, it's kind of the way when they described places. Yes, there was a place in the Middle East today that we understand as Jerusalem, let's say. But when then they talked about the lands of Canaan, they could have literally been talking about something thousands of miles away in the northern regions of what we call New England today, because there's a load of Canaanite architecture everywhere, and these stone walls and sacrificial things even up there. And it's kind of, there's this huge disconnect, of from our perspective today, because we imagine ocean still being around, separating these places, making it impossible for people to get to certain places as they so-called would have. Because it's not possible, then they must have been talking about land that was very close rather than far away. But we don't really know what methods or means these people actually had back then to transport and communicate, and we don't really know what kind of technology was around. I think a lot of it is just assumed primitive and isolated, but I think perhaps that might not be the case, But then at the same time, I think that's all wild speculation. I don't hang my hat on any of that being 100% true, because I don't know if that's true or not. Like, it could quite simply be that it all really happened where archaeologically we say it happened today. And the world was very small for those people then when they just talked about the known world, So who really knows? But I think there's a lot of compelling evidence to say that the geographical locations of certain biblical events are not what they told us they are. I think there's a good precedence for it, and there's plenty. Although it can't be proven, it's evident that something is amiss. So there you go. That's my answer. I hope that answers your question well. I know this is kind of off topic, says Jerry Carhill. But what are your thoughts about the hairy man, Sasquatch, Bigfoot? I have a lot to say about that. I, in fact, have an entire chapter in my book dedicated to that. And perhaps rather, this is a good opportunity, rather than spieling right now, maybe I'll play you guys a clip from my audiobook in work to answer that question a little bit. I do have a file here, so bear with me one second. So I'll open up my audiobook in progress. There's been no editing to the sound yet. That's the last thing I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm using a certain program I'm going to download, which will sort all the sound out for me. So right now, this is going to sound very much like I sound now through this microphone, because that's just how I'm recording it raw. The editing to master it for audiobook quality is going to come afterwards. But right now I do have the raw audio. So I'll play some of that chapter about the Bigfoot, the wild men of Europe, and all the rest of it. So maybe I can answer your question that way. And obviously, thank you for the donation as well. As a courtesy, I'll, of course, play this. So if I go to my chapters here, I think it's under Modern Encounters. So I'll start playing this and see what you guys can hear. So bear with me. Just got to open that. Chapter 13. Modern Encounters. So far, while discussing the intricate and convoluted life of the Nephilim scourge that plague the ancient and forgotten past, one would be forgiven for assuming that this is something we no longer have to deal with in the present day. We should count ourselves incredibly fortunate that we live in a time where tall and monstrous despots aren't raping our women, eating our children, making us bow down to giant serpents in the sky, and forcing us to build ziggurats and monuments dedicated to their prideful divinity. However, for the small mercies and relative freedom we enjoy now, the Nephilim corruption appears to have continued into the modern era. We see this not only through the demonic spiritual presence they maintain over the minds and souls of their oppressed and possessed victims, but we also see the corruption through physical forms that have been witnessed by millions of people all across the land. These people have shared their stories obsessively and with great unwavering fervour on underground late-night radio call-in shows, internet podcasts, blogs, or forums. That's assuming they didn't interview for a TV, newspaper, or magazine journalist in the mainstream, as an attempt to whistleblow from within a shadowy government organisation. The human zeitgeist is awash with stories and tales of monsters and mysteries beyond ordinary comprehension. In this chapter, I want to share some of the most relevant and interesting ones with you. Hopefully, this will prove to you that what I have described thus far, regarding the fallen angels, Nephilim giants, and the monsters they created, gives a solid explanation of where these modern cryptids originated. Once this is made clear, we can begin to describe the origins of the clown itself, and how its roots are based solely on the demonic folk traditions of Europe and India. North American skeletons. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there, and I'm going to try and find... So that was just an opening to the chapter. After North American skeletons, I discussed Bigfoot. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to find where the Bigfoot discussion begins. Right now, you can't hear it. Yeah, so there's a discussion about the city car tribe who dealt with this issue of giants and monsters, basically. And the skeletons were found. Then not long after this, yeah, there's quite a lot of talk about these giant hairy monsters all over America, which obviously you call Bigfoot. That the tribes of America's kind of had to deal with quite a lot, you know. Okay, I think I found some of it here. So there's actually, turns out the wild hairy beast creature, which we would call Bigfoot in America, is actually all over the earth. Every single culture has one of these stories. So I'm going to roughly play it from the start here, though I don't know if this is the start or not. It's about right, and I'll play it for like 5 minutes so you can get a taste for just how many examples there are of Bigfoot-like creatures all over the earth, and then we'll kind of get back into it as well. And when I come back, and then maybe I'll share a bit more insight of kind of things I've learned. So here we go. I'm going to play it for you now. Keep playing it. Some nice, lovely Millennial Kingdom buildings in the background as we do this. But here's later into the chapter 13, where we kind of talk about hairy creatures. Larger-than-life humanoid sightings in the modern era. The most mainstream example is the hairy apple of every cryptozoologist's keen eye: Bigfoot. According to Cyclopedia Britannica, quote, Sasquatch, also called Bigfoot, from Salish Sesak, wild men, is a large, hairy, human-like creature believed by some people to exist in the northwest United States and western Canada. End quote. It is a beast that has captured the imagination of the conspiracy world for decades. However, as we will discover, man has been contending with these monsters for over 5,000 years. As you read, the name Sasquatch has its roots in the Salish word for wild man, and the importance of this point will become far more apparent as we discuss the historical origins of the clown in Chapter 14. If we stay in the Pacific Northwest of the Americas for a little longer, we can learn of a tribe of Indian wild men feared by the local tribes called the Siatik. Oregon and Washington natives agree that the Siatik Indians are not less than 7 feet tall, and some have been seen as 8 feet tall. They have hairy bodies like bears, kill their game entirely by hypnotism, and use strange creams to make themselves invisible. They have great supernatural powers and the gift of ventriloquism, deceiving many ordinary natives by throwing their voices. They imitate any bird of the Northwest, especially the blue jay, and they have a keen sense of smell. Oregon Indians, at times, have been greatly humiliated by the Siatiks' vulgar sense of humor. The Siatiks play practical jokes upon them and steal their Indian women. Sometimes, an abducted Indian woman returns, though it's rare that they do. It's believed that the women come back with the blood of the monsters within them, like some form of genetic manipulation took place. Some Northwest Indians say that when humanity was changed from animal to man, the Siatik did not absorb the Tamanoais, or soul power, during evolution. Thus he became an anomaly in the Indian process of evolution. For every act of disrespect or aggression shown towards them, utter devastation will be acted out against the perpetrators, typically taking 12 lives for every one they lose. It's well known among the local tribes not to retaliate against the Siatik when they steal women and food, as the price is too high to pay. The Siatik always leave a tiny branch of cedar tree at places they have visited or upon people they have killed or played a practical joke on. At one time, the Duwamish tribe related that some of their women had been taken, and they stood up to the giants, rebuking their actions verbally. The Siatiks, in a fit of rage, then killed 12 of the Duwamish tribe by ripping them in two and throwing them into the air. An elderly member of the tribe claims she witnessed the tragedy. While recounting her experience to a reporter for the Oregonian in 1924, she said, quote, "They took our young men like toys, turning them upside down and ripping them in two like a piece of calico. Never again did the Duwamish tribe seek revenge when their women and babies were stolen by the Sneyehum, or Indians of the night and brothers to the Noseless One." End quote. We can easily find myths and legends of tall and incredibly hairy ape men capable of great evil and wonders all over the earth. The giant nature of these beasts makes one think of the Nephilim almost instantaneously. One can't help but be reminded of the descriptions of Esau, the red, hairy, boastful, short-tempered giant who was a mighty hunter, or Cain, the almost identical vagrant wanderer of the wilds, hunted down like an animal by Lamech and Tubal-Cain, mistaking his hairy physique for a wild beast. The same Cain whose hairy and white-skinned offspring mated with the Watchers to create giants. Though it's only a working theory, it does appear that the Bigfoot phenomenon could be partly explained as manifestations of those who possess the genetic markers of Cain or Esau, the wild man. They could also be remnants of far older Nephilim descendant beings, such as the Eliud, or the monstrous human beings who changed their genetics in the last days before the flood, spoken of in the Book of Giants, Jasher, and Jubilees. With a quick online search, it's easy to compile the numerous folk tales and legends of tall, hairy beastmen roaming the mountain ranges and caves, which have an elusive and menacing presence for all those who encounter them. For example, the Yeti is said to wander the Himalayan mountain range in Asia, and is often described as a large, bipedal, ape-like creature covered in brown, grey or white hair, having large, sharp teeth. Tibetan lore describes 3 main varieties of Yetis: the Nyalmo, which has black fur and is the largest and fiercest, standing around 15 feet tall; the Chuti, which stands around 8 feet tall; and the Rangshimbombo, which has reddish-brown fur and is only 3 to 5 feet tall. The Chachunya is a hominid cryptid that is reported to exist in Siberia. It is described by most eyewitnesses as tall and human-like, with broad shoulders, a large protruding brow, long matted hair, and occasionally bearing unusually coloured, clownish body hair/fur. There are also reports that these creatures have, on occasion, taken to eating human flesh, a trait which is not apparent in its Siberian cousin, the Almasti. The Almas, singular, is an ape-like cryptid reported from Central Asia. They inhabit the Asian mountain regions of the Pamir and the Caucasus of the Mongolian mountain range of the Altai. Sightings of the Almasti date back as early as the 15th century. This creature has been sighted walking upright just like a human. It looks more human than a Bigfoot-type creature and is even said to craft clothes and tools. It is said to resemble a living caveman. Their bodies are covered entirely with thick brown to reddish-brown hair. The facial region remains uncovered, but patches of skin are dark. The skull structure of the Almasti possess a protruding brow ridge, slanting forehead, flat nose, and large protruding jaw. Their feet are large, and their fingers are extended. Their appendages are wholly covered with hair, except for their hands. Almas is a Mongolian word for wild man. The plural Almasti is derived from Russian, while other variations of the name are Almasti, Almasla, Banahua, and Utchokochi, which translates as the name for a forest deity in the West Asian regions, such as Azerbaijan and Georgia. Current accounts of the most recent sightings of the Almas locate it near the southern part of Mongolia, along the Altai Mountains and the Tian Shan Pass near the northern border of China. The Yeran, wild man, is a cryptid ape man reported to inhabit remote mountainous regions of China, most famously in the Shenongjia Forestry District in the Hubei province. Sightings of hairy men have remained constant since the Warring States period circa 340 BCE through the Tang dynasty 618 to 907 CE, before solidifying into the modern legend of the Yeran. Generally, they are described as savage, strong, and fast-moving, living in mountain caves and descending only to raid villages for food or for people to wed or rape. Testimonies of the alleged creature typically agree the Yeran walks upright and stands over 2 meters, 6 feet tall, is covered in tawny hair all over the body, especially long at the scalp, and has a face reminiscent of an ape and a human. Other common descriptors include black red hair, distended eyes, long arms hanging down to the knees, and big feet. The Yeren supposedly laughs when coming across a human. Clownish feature. These ape men purportedly lack females entirely and need to abduct and rape women. And there we go. There's still like 10 minutes left of that entire read there. A lot more examples to come. And as you can see, repeat patterns occurring everywhere on the earth. Do you find what you would call in America Bigfoot? It's all over the place. And that's because everyone has a shared history, the same cultures. They all encountered the same entities. And I think from my research, I think that Bigfoot are Nephilim. But they're not OG half angel, half human Nephilim. They're like descendants of Nephilim who had children, who then had children, who then had children, who then had children. So they're kind of like a watered down, shorter, hairier, more humanized looking creature with divine powers. They always seem to have the ability to mess with people's minds telepathically. They can throw their voices in mystical, magical ways. They can, from that story you heard there, some of them have magical creams to make them invisible, you know. I think they have teleportation abilities. I've heard Gary Wayne talking about this as well. And I think there's something magical about them, which tells me they'd likely have some kind of angel, inherited, mystical, not of this nature, ethereal nature to them as well. Not quite of the earth, you know. So I'm more inclined to believe that they're not like humans who mutated themselves or something, or like an offshoot of evolution or something, which is a theory that just bears no weight in reality when you actually get down to it. I think they are like the descendants of the Nephil and the Elio, which were the children and grandchildren of the Nephilim. That's my working theory from what I've gathered. But I offer much speculation in the book as to all the possibilities. So there you go. Yeah, that's it. Nancy, thanks for that. I appreciate the donation. And who's this as well? SC Webb, thanks for that too. That's really generous. I really appreciate the donations. Yeah, guys, get your questions in though. Anyone has any other questions? I'm looking at the chat now. The audiobook sounds good. Thanks, Pearl. Brent likes it too. Yeah, like I said, that'll actually sound way better to the ear once I've done the editing. The program I'm going to use, which kind of sorts it out, and it runs its presets through it. It sounds really crisp and warm, and kind of there's no fuzz or anything, and it adds like a background hum, which is so minute, but it makes it feel more present. You'll see when the book's actually published. But I've just finished off chapter 16. I've got 4 more chapters to read, and that will be the audiobook ready. And there will also be an update to the book that's currently on Amazon. I guess you could call it second edition, I guess is what it's going to be, with some minor punctuation and phraseology changes throughout the original book. So the information's the same. If you got a first edition, in the first year you bought a copy of the Nephilim Like Clowns, you will have a first edition after this, before this month. After that, it'll be a second edition. When the audiobook is out, the book will be second edition then, and it'll be slightly edited. Nothing's moved, no information's been added or removed. You're not learning any new knowledge with the second edition or missing out on any information with the second edition. It's literally just a flow editing. There's been some mistakes as well. I'm doing it all on my own. I'm doing the best I can, you know, and this reading the audiobook has made me do a full pass through every single sentence. So I've done some minor editing to some sentences just to make the flow right when speaking it out loud. And I think that's probably the hallmark of a quality book, that it actually sounds good can be read easily out loud, which means you can read it easily in your own mind, you know. That's kind of the methodology I've applied to this. So there's an update. My self-appointed target is to have it ready and published at the start of July. And then that's volume 1 with the audiobook done. I'm not going to go back to that anymore. All my focus is going back to volume 2, which I've wrote like 3 or 4 chapters for. I'm going to continue with that book. And then that's going to get the same treatment. I'm going to comb through the entire thing and make an audiobook for that too. And then they'll be complete. The work's done. And I can leave the book behind, finally move on. it's a long, intensive labor of love, this, but I feel like that'll finally put a stamp on the end of that research. And it's out there then. There's nothing else that can be said. It's boxed off. The theory in a nutshell is done. And I can be happy knowing I've finally backed up everything and it's all there ready to go, and yeah, so that's an update on the book if anyone was curious. Alex Beaton asks, "Hi Paul, I love your videos. I was recently born again and I'm wondering how I tell if I have the Holy Spirit yet. Do I hear Jesus too?" Well, Alex, that's a good question. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a religious teacher of any kind. I don't run a ministry. I can give you the best advice I can based on my own experience. Take it or leave it for what it's worth. I think I don't auditorily hear Jesus talking to me or God speaking to me, though I know people would claim that does happen to them and it can happen. And, I personally don't hear it that way. Okay. But the way Jesus communicates with me and the Father communicates with me is kind of through subtle hints in life, and it's odd. It's like a still, quiet voice, like a conscience in a way. I think the Holy Spirit speaks more to a conscience than anything else, to be honest. Before I would say I had the Holy Spirit in my life and within me, I was a distinctly different person when it came to hedonism and living a life of sin. I felt no guilt or conviction living a life of sin. I was given over to my reprobate mind. And I thought it was a good way to live and a good thing, and saw no issues with it, and had no hesitation about smoking that joint or taking that pill or whatever it was, and eating that thing, the promiscuity, everything. There was no issues. There was no conscience about it. There was no second thought. But after I was born again in 2014, everything was different. And I mean that. And it's not like I changed overnight necessarily. My body, my flesh still wanted to do those things. But when I did them, what God intended me to actually be, my true God created, fearfully and wonderfully made self, that God wants me, the potential in me to be who I should be in his eyes, felt wrong. It's like, why am I doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself? And that was the Holy Spirit convicting me, I would say. It came upon me and it did a work over many years within me to make me who I am today. A completely different creation, a new creature who wouldn't even dream of touching those things or living that life, and not even having the desire to do it anymore either. This is the thing. It changes you from the inside. It changes your wants and needs and desires to be fruitful, productive, caring, and conducive to a healthy relationship with Christ. It really does change you. It's a miracle. It's a miraculous transformation. I can't really explain it. So that's kind of how you would know, I'd say, if you have the Holy Spirit. I mean, maybe the fact that you're even asking these questions may consider that you do have it. I mean, what is it exactly you're looking for? You might be lucky enough that you weren't really that much of a sinner beforehand, or have many addictions or things. So it might not, maybe to you it doesn't seem like such a dramatic change because you're already pretty close to begin with, And I'm not saying these changes are the things that save you. They're not. Just simply believing in Christ is what saves you, and his sacrifice is enough, and his work is done, and nothing you are going to do, whether that's helping people in the world or changing yourself while you're here in the flesh, is going to save you. But it's certainly a byproduct, a fruit of being saved, is that you generally tend to start living a better, more wholesome, more productive, more healthy life. And you can't help but end up being like that, especially when the Holy Spirit's on you. And that guidance is finally there, that conscience is finally there. And I feel through the Holy Spirit in many ways, Christ can communicate with you. He can talk to you. He can help you when you're down or when you need direction. And you pray to Christ, and to the Father through Christ, and he'll be there for you. And he'll hint, he'll tell you, and he often through conviction, he'll make clear what is and isn't right and what you should and shouldn't be really be praying for, and whether that thing you think you want really is the thing you actually want, and sometimes you might not even like the answers, and be careful what you wish for, because if Jesus Christ did speak to you auditorily, you might not like what you hear. And it's kind of, I think everyone's different. I think God works with people where they're at, and through Christ, through his intermediary, through his son, we have that way of understanding him and being with him and having a relationship with him, a more personal way. And I feel like I am talking with them every minute of my life, 24/7. There's never a moment where I'm not in communion with Christ. But I don't feel disappointed that I'm not hearing verbal words in my head. I feel like I hear when he speaks to me, and it's not auditory. It's a knowing. It's kind of a thing within, a feeling. It's a guidance, like a guiding hand that guides everything, every decision you make from then on. And that's kind of my experience with it. And I don't know what it is you're looking for exactly, but maybe those are some of the things, those signs, those things I've explained. Maybe that's what you should be looking for in your life as well. Perhaps. But other people might have better advice than me, to be honest. Other people might have better experiences or a better way of explaining it than I can, but that's the best I've got right now. Right, anyway, moving on. What have we got here? Paul, do you ever rewatch or listen to your older content? No, I don't really have time. Pearl, I really don't listen to all my old stuff, to be honest. When I first started my YouTube channel, I did. Like, I would re-listen to the live show I did the night before. This is years ago, just to hear what do I sound like. Like, am I talking any sense? And it's kind of to remind myself of what was discussed as well, often because I usually cover a lot of topics in the live shows and people ask a lot of questions. But I kind of, as time went on and as I produced more content and as the channel got busier and as responsibilities came in my life, it's kind of, I don't have time to listen to my old content. Like I say what I say at the time. And then sometimes someone will leave a random comment on a really old video I've not listened to or even thought about in like months. And it'll remind me of that video, and I'll go back and maybe listen to a bit of it just to get a gist of what I was doing. But sometimes I cringe at seeing my younger self, talking about these things. Because what do I know? What did I know then? I didn't know anything, I'm still just figuring it all out. And I still am just figuring, what do I even know now? I'm probably going to do the same thing in like 10 years' time, looking back at these videos as on an archive, thinking like, what the hell were you doing, Paul? Shut up. I think I'm more of a let's move on to the next thing and keep growing type of guy. So I tend not to dwell too much on the past, If you want to hear from him, read his word, says Carl Hoff. That's true too. Well, I would assume that those are the basics. You've got them covered already. You're already reading the word. You're reading the New Testament. You're reading the red letter words of Jesus Christ and what he spoke and what he preached. And that's how you kind of can get a good idea of what he would say in an auditory way if you were to do or have a thought or a conviction about a certain thing, Sorry, what's going here? I'm always check the word, says Jesus returned. Yeah, that of course. Again, maybe I spoke assuming that was already the case. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of fundamental to being a Christian, isn't it? I would say. God speaks to your heart. It's a still small voice, says Randall. But the scripture says, be still and know I am the Lord. Praise Jesus. Praise God for the Holy Spirit. Amen. Absolutely. Paul, have you seen the advertising artwork by Leonetto Capiello from the 1920s, specifically his piece for Marin Quina, The Green Devil, Bitter Campari, Patis Baroni, Clowns, Demons, and More, says Scott. You said a lot there, Scott. A lot. So let me just search Leonetto I've not heard of it, first of all. This is going to take some research on my behalf. So, Leonetto Capiello, the Green Devil. So let me have a look. Let me just have a look. Leo. Capiello, the Green Devil, and okay, so it was an advertisement poster yet for an alcohol, as you just said. I'm just looking now at a close-up image. Yeah, it's a creepy looking thing, isn't it? I'll share the screen with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at as well. This thing here, the Green Devil. Clowns, demons, and more. So there's more of these, is there? Does he do a lot of this stuff? What was that one you said? Ah. Yeah, that's very much akin to the Poirot clown. This is the French iteration of Pedrolino. Pedrolino is the, what's it, Bitter Campari, another one here. Yeah, another creepy looking clown. Look at this thing. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, aren't they? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are the classical clowns of the Comédie de l'Art, from the looks of it. These zany characters. So if you go to the Commedia Zanies, this is pretty much what they would have looked like, this type of thing. And many of these characters are proto-clowns within that tradition of the Commedia dell'arte. And a lot of them wore these masks, to be honest. But you'll find the characters that you saw there are kind of offshoots of those. So in the Commedia, you had Pedrolino, which is where you get Poirot from. So he kind of looked like this originally, if people can even see this. And then he evolved into this in France, something more like with the black pom-poms and the sad look. And that seems to be much like the alcohol bottle we just saw there. And then that developed slowly into the British version of clown. British clown. And this is where you started to get the British iteration evolving into something akin to this demonic monster right here with Joseph Grimaldi. Yeah, this look then became the British standard. And then this very developed into the standard for all modern clowns today. And of course, let's not forget that this is the Rakshasa Demon Thailand. That very much is this thing, but the right way around. As you can see, he's just doing his handstand, but it's the same creature. And just to make that very clear, here it is wearing the same costume in which the British clown was modelled after. So there we go. The Rakshasas of the Thailand temples of India and, well, Hinduism, shall we say. I know Thailand and India are two different places. But yeah, that's where the inspiration came from, imported from India via the British colonization of the region and bringing it back to England. And then obviously the Rakshasa Kala Sung Sang, which means in Balinese, upside down. The Kala Sung Sang is the upside down demon. Let me just get rid of this. And he's pretty much a Rakshasa by a different name. Here he is doing his upside down handstand. And there is Joseph Grimaldi in the same position again, because he represented or was dressing in the costume of the same creature. And that's where the British clown got his costume from originally, inspired by the Indian Rakshasa demons, and specifically the Balinese Kala Sung Sang was inspiration was taken at one point too. And that's why the clown has a big red smile, because so did the Nephilim. Look at this thing. Absolutely terrifying monsters and beasts from beyond all human comprehension, eh? Anyway, just like a clown. Same description, go for a clown. But thanks for sharing that and sending me off a wild tangent. Yeah, interesting, Scott. And again, thanks for the support. My wife says the guiding hand is saying, "Don't do finance to me." Talking any sense? Yeah. Well, just for context, guys, me and the wife are currently in the process of trying to figure out how we can afford to finance a new car for the family, because mine just died. The engine bled to death. There's my driveway is strewn with the blood of my car, the black blood of my car. It's just a disaster. It got scrapped yesterday. They come and picked it up and took it away. How much did I get? I got £266 for it. I bought it for like $2,500 5 years ago, and I got 266 in scrap. If I had sold it and it was in good nick, I could have got maybe 1,500, because it was completely like just done for. It was falling to bits. It's kind of scrap is all it was worth. So yeah, now me and the wife are in the position of trying to figure out how we can afford to get a new car, and we don't want to be in debt for the next 5 years. Paying off finance, but it seems like we are in no other position, but we kind of have to do that. When you have 2 kids, it's kind of necessary to have a car, unfortunately. And we want a good one that's going to last us like 10 years, and you got to find the right compromise between quality, mileage, petrol or diesel usage, age of the car as well. And it's like, where can you find that nice balance where you're not cheaping out and then have to just do it again in like 2 years' time? Or how much can you realistically invest before it's too much money? And it's just can't be bothered dealing with this type of stuff. That's kind of where we are right now. And it seems like the Holy Spirit is telling my wife, maybe we shouldn't do finance. Maybe we don't want to tie ourselves down to something like that. Have you ever listened to the testimony of Kay Griggs? She was married to Colonel George Griggs of the US Army Intelligence. Absolutely mind-blowing thought, says Steve Oz. Steve, I have not looked into any of that of Kay Griggs, so I have no opinion. But at your suggestion, I will look into it, Steve. So thanks for showing me that. Could you do me a favor? Could you email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com a link to some of that stuff so I don't forget? Because I will forget. I don't really listen to these videos, but if anyone links me anything they want me to listen to or read, it's always handy to have it there in the email so I can refer back to it. Sure. He did hundreds, I believe, said Scott. I never looked into his history and possible connections, but maybe an interesting topic for your Understanding Creativity channel as well. Well, thanks, Scott. Yeah, I appreciate the letting me know, and absolutely, I'll look into it. Jerry Carl says, thank you for answering my question, Mr. Paul. I have one more. What are your thoughts on worldwide architecture being built by angelic beings throughout the world? I'm not so sure on that. I think very inspired men can do amazing things, create beautiful artworks and intricate things. I think there could be something to be said for the unbelievably perfect geometrical cymatic frequency wave designs of these cathedrals being built supposedly in a time when people could barely lift themselves out of the mud pits, and were dying of dysentery and the plague. And it's kind of, you have to wonder, it's kind of how that happened. And I guess you could easily fall on the idea that Mont Saint Michael or some Mont Saint Michel in north of Normandy perhaps is Mount Michael the Angel. You know what I mean? Or Michelangelo is Michael the Angel or something like this. But at the same time, it's kind of, let's not do humanity a huge disservice. We are made in the image of God, and God is an artist. He is a creator, and so are we. And I think mankind, when unencumbered by Satan, whispering in our ears, making us doubt ourselves, turning us against our brothers and sisters, and making us jealous and bitter and wrathful and scared and envious and angry, and just like making us weak in every respect by playing on our insecurities, when that voice of Satan is not whispering in our ears and his demons aren't messing with us, and mankind is living under the righteous rule of a righteous king, the Son of God, Jesus Christ himself, and no longer will we want for anything and have that time, but at the same time understand the crushing responsibility we have to tend to the earth and fulfill the very first job mankind had, which was to tend to the garden. And to make this place beautiful and an homage to God and Christ itself, when people are inspired like that and have the passion, the drive, and the time to learn and to develop skills, then in a millennial reign of 1,000 years, humanity can achieve some amazing things. I don't think beautiful architecture is beyond the pale of what humanity could create when inspired with all those benefits to help with the inspiration, and making it real. So no, I'm not against the idea that angels helped mankind design many things, or perhaps did just make many of these things, but I also believe humanity can do some amazing things when inspired by God. So there you go, that's my kind of take on it. The moon map, do you reckon it's accurate? If so, why or why not? I think it's another fascinating model, and I'm all for it. I'm all for alternative cosmologies, and there's loads out there. There's loads, and I'm not going to put my, pin my hat on any of it and put all my eggs in one basket and say, this is the model, and if you don't follow it, then you're a shill. I'm not going to do anything like that. I think there's loads of fascinating models. What I do know, it's not what we've been told through NASA and mainstream sources and what we're taught in school. It's something far trippier and psychedelic than we could ever imagine. And I think the moon map projection is a wonderful one. A fantastic concept and idea, and extremely plausible. I really do. I think it's outer space. It's just more land beyond our borders, which we call the known world, I think that's what's going on. Like there's a mountain on Mars, they say, Olympus Mons, and it's just vast and huge and this enormous thing. And they've got pictures of this giant mountain, from their telescopes, so forth. And I'm wondering what if Mount Olympus Mons, which they say is on Mars, which is symbolic of the god of war from the same mythology, it's kind of, what if that actually is a mountain somewhere just in the outer lands? In Terra del Vista, the further lands beyond our own iced off region, where we are currently on the moon map projection. And there actually is this enormous mountain out there, the mountain of the gods, Mount Olympus. And it wasn't just mythology. It was because that mythos comes from a time when that's where we were on the map, because it's an ever-moving circle according to that map that we're always living within. And the borders are always shifting around the giant circle, isn't it? And we only ever live within the smaller circle at any given time, where the sun rotates, and the sun's just constantly moving, not only around its own orbit within the circle, but then moving even further around the bigger, greater circle of the Earth. So it's a really great, fascinating topic. I like it. I like the map. I think it's a great model and extremely plausible. And it could explain what they're really trying to do when they're saying get to Mars. Maybe they're just trying to find a way to get to these other places, because maybe we are constrained or domed in within our own region at any given moment, Who knows? But it's good. It's a good one. Let me just keep going down. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to catch up with the chat. Right, I've caught up to the top of the chat now. I'm talking about my wife's talking about her car now. 2011 Vauxhall Corsa. This little rattle tin box that just can barely go over 60 miles an hour in fifth gear. Yeah. It'll do the job for now, but it's not ideal for two kids, and it's not great, and it's old as well. It's older than my car was. I'm surprised it's still kicking, to be honest, but it'll get us by until we get a new car. That's for sure. Parts are getting challenging to obtain for older cars. The quality of the new parts is terrible. Interesting. Understanding conspiracy. Zella Morales. I probably said that wrong, but they ask, there is a Wikipedia page that my lunch break showcases stating a sanctuary located in the Mediterranean is historically noted as being created by angelic beings. Interesting. That's very interesting. Are you talking about Lemuria there? Is that what we're talking about? What's this? my opinion, all cars are nightmares. Paul's 2011 has been the absolute bane of my existence. Yeah, my car has just got one problem after another. The problem is I got a diesel and I don't drive far enough often enough to justify it, and it caused just constant DPF filter problems. And if anyone knows who's had diesel knows what I mean, they'll know what I mean. Anyway, guys, any more questions? I'm going to take, it's an hour in now, so I'm going to take a quick break just so I can get a drink, rest my voice, and turn the fan on, open a window. It's getting really hot in here now. British summer is really kicking in, and the heat just hits different here than it does in other places. Like, it's because we're such a wet country. As soon as the heat appears, all the moisture comes out of everything. And when I say that, I mean everything is full of moisture because we're a wet country. And it's like you're being cooked in a sauna when it's just like 19 degrees or something, like it's Celsius. You know, it's not much. Like, and right now I'm sweltering. So I'm gonna have a quick break, and to have this break, I'm gonna share with you a song. It's my song, New Age Hippie. You've probably already heard it before, but I've made a little music video for it, just slapping together some random stock footage from random websites. It's nothing amazing, believe me, but I only did it because I've remastered the audio, and I've uploaded it to Understanding Creativity, my other channel. Link should be down below. And on the other channel, I'm uploading all my music, my own music on there. So if you want to listen to this, you can just go over to Understanding Creativity, and there's a playlist, original artwork and music, and you can listen to it there. But I'm going to play it for you guys live now. Just have a quick break here. It's only a couple of minutes long, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we'll carry on this. Get some questions in the meantime, guys. Please just get some questions in, and I'll try and cover as many as I can when I get back for maybe another hour or so. Okay, so just bear with me. And here is New Age Hippie. And I'm back. There we go. Yeah. Thanks for the break, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I needed to have a drink of water. I've got a fan on now. I'm feeling much better. The window's cracked open. And I feel like I'm not cooking myself alive anymore. And someone said, I think Paul could get sunburnt indoors. And you're not wrong. I'm wondering if these lights I've got here are a bit too strong for me. I think I may have caught a little bit of sun today. I don't know. I need to get a tan, to be honest. I need to do something. So maybe I need to start expose myself a little bit more to the sunlight, the natural sunlight, rather than living like a vampire. But it's just in my Northern European blood. I can't help it. I've just got to stay away from the sun. You know, it's my natural enemy. I just do not have the melanin for that. Paul, does the oldest clown go back to Hindustan or original India? India East or India West? How old was the writings you cited? What are you talking about, Kyle? I never said the clown came from India and like Indians invented clowns. That's not at all what I said. I did not say that. If you read the book, I explain clearly where we get a modern Western clown from. And it was actually introduced into a movement that Europe already created called the Commedia dell'arte. And there was some stock characters in there that represented different members of society. And one of the main stock characters was the servant of the rich man called Pedrolino. And the servant of the rich man also had another servant friend called Harlequin, or Arlecchino. And Arlecchino and Pedrolino were kind of the one was really smart, one was really dumb type duo. But then as that developed over like a few hundred years coming out of the Middle Ages from the 1500s to the 1800s, Britain took a hold of the tradition and turned Pedrolino into what we call a clown. And that's where the word clown came in. But clown was a British colloquial term for like idiot or fool or clodhopper. And it kind of developed to be named that character is the stock version of what we call a clown in Britain, a fool, you know, and an irreverent idiot of a sort. So that, again, borrowed from the Italian tradition, Pedrolino, we got clown. But the clown was always dressed in plain white servant rags, nothing special, nothing colourful, until the son of a Freemason called Charles Dibdin randomly changed the costume after literally like 1,000 years of it never changing, and they changed it into the psychedelic monster I showed you earlier. And when you look into why that happened, you'll find out he was the son of a very famous Freemason who used to travel to and from India all the time. His brother was very much involved in colonizing India with the East India Company. So he was even going to move there himself, but couldn't because of bad weather and chickened out in the end and ended up staying in England. But he definitely brought back with him Indian iconography and symbolism and images of demons. And he clearly told his son, or his son must have been on the trips with him who saw the same things, but they were clearly inspired by Indian Rakshasa demons and the way they look on the temples, and just stole the image and dressed Pedrolino like that in the British version of clown. And that's why clowns today look the way they do, because they were modelled after, the new costume in the 1800s was modelled after Indian demons. And that image has evolved to what it is today, but its roots going to the 1800s are quite literally that. Like, it's visually, it's undeniable. When I showed you some basic visuals there, but that's just one caveat to all my research about the Nephilim and the clown connection. That's just one connection out of dozens upon dozens of them. So read the book, but I didn't say like there's a history in India of clowns being ancient or something. I did not say that. So I don't know what you're on about, unfortunately. Christian fringe coffee house vibe, and I really love their lyrical content too. Nice work, Paul, and really nice vocal tone too, says Trevor. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. I've got more coming. I've got more songs. They're not all like Christian based. Some of them are from a past, but in a way, I guess contextually, it's the mind of that type of new age person, is kind of coming out. Gosh, if only Paul had a book available on Amazon that someone could download and read to better understand. I know, right? If only I had had some forethought and had done something that could maybe help people know what it is I'm talking about more clearly before they make assumptions about it, and possibly even write counter books about my work without even knowing the basic premise of my arguments to begin with. If only there was something I had done to deal with this issue. If only I had also made a entire series of 45 episodes completely free on YouTube in a playlist dedicated to this, showcasing exactly what I'm talking about and where I got these ideas from. If only I had had some forethought. But, what are you going to do? Paul, hope all is well. Happy to be here. Biblical Hitmen are in the house. Yeah, I'm all good, man. Thanks for dropping by. I get you are against all. It's all one. I have been reading A Course in Miracles. Would love your thoughts on it if you have heard it. I'm not sure what you just said there, Ian, but I haven't read or have any thoughts on the book you've been reading, unfortunately. I'll join your creative channel now too. Yes, go to Understanding Creativity. You can't miss the logo. Here it is. Links are in the description to get there. Go check out the work on there. I have just released another video on there right now. I'll show you on the screen so you guys can see. YouTube. Understanding Creativity on the side. Here it is. So I'll share the screen with you so you can see. But yes, I have just released a new video on the guest artist, Tim Latty. He is in the comic book industry. He is a illustrator for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, G.I. Joe. He's worked for Mattel as well and Nickelodeon. He's animated for many people, even the NBA. Like, this guy's done a lot of illustrations and comic book work. He's very much in the industry as a working artist today still. And yeah, he's actually a listener and a fan of the channel too. So he came on and graciously shared about his work and his experiences. And it was a fantastic conversation that was just posted yesterday. So go check that presentation out. It's only just over an hour long. It's an easy listen and lots of images to back it up. Very fun. And there's New Age Hippie here, just released the same day. And then I always release little a little trailer for each show before it comes out. I've got a Walk in the Rain here, another piano solo by myself you can go and listen to. I had Chris from Biocharisma on as well to share his as a guest artist about his architectural prowess and his company building domes, which is really fascinating. And then I have another series about occult art. And the first episode is still on there, where we go into Klimt and his painting The Kiss and his broader contextual works and of being in Vienna during a high time of occult workings. And he also has odd ties to Stanley Kubrick as well, which is really interesting. And the next one is coming out soon, where we're talking about Georgia O'Keeffe. And Susan Faraday's joined me again. And we had a great conversation about that, which is actually currently available to my patrons as well. If you are curious, you can go to Patreon, and the early access to the next episode of Occult Art is being released soon. But also on there, I have been, like I said, I've got a playlist here where I've been releasing my own music. And yes, I will also be doing random rants and raves every now and then where I'm just ripping into modern art and how terrible it is. So it's a good fun. Go to the channel. We've got 2.7k subscribers already, which is great. And it's more of what I do, just with an artistic spin. So go check that out if you like Understanding Conspiracy. You will like Understanding Creativity, and it's still all kind of conspiratorial based. So I've not really shifted gears that much for what I do on this channel, but it's very fun. It's a passion project of mine, and I definitely enjoy doing it. So go and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Paul, what's your favorite medium to create art with? Are you at all into painting? Yes, I do work in all mediums: sculpture, woodwork, metalwork, pencil, painting, watercolor, acrylic, media, photography, all of that. I am a multimedia artist. I work with whatever I can get my hands on. I'm a video creator as well. I'm a talker. I'm an author. My favorite medium, my fallback, where I would say my skills truly lie, are in drawing, in pencil drawing specifically. And I wonder if I actually have it. People know my grandmother died recently. The funeral was just 2 weeks ago. And clearing out the house and everything, they have a box of stuff, and there was an old painting there that I made when I was 13 years old, which is always hung on the top of her staircase. Well, it would have been for 20 years. Because I'm 33 soon, and here it is. Here's a picture of the painting, and it's interesting because there's it's got a square around it where the frame rested, so it looks really odd. But if I get this here, so this is a watercolor I made when I was 13 of some pansies, I think they are, and a thistle at the top there. And look, you can see the ring where the frame was, because it's been for 20 years, it's kind of damaged it. So that's at my house, my mum and dad's house currently. That's a painting I made, a watercolor I did when I was 13 years old. So just a bit of a blast from the past. But yeah, I do all sorts. I cover all sorts of things. And what have I got? Have I got anything I can show you quickly? Just quickly to hand. Oh, here's... Uh-oh, everything's collapsing. Let me just get a better grip of that. Here we go. Here's a portrait of my wife drawn in 2019. There she is. That's my wife. That's Keely. That's the one in the chat you see. So that's always staring at me just on the desk above. I'm very much a pencil guy. I like using pencil more than anything. What else have I got? I must have more stuff around. Let's have a look. This thing. Nope, I got nothing. It's all in the cupboard somewhere. But yeah, if you're interested, actually, I could probably share with you guys some of my photography one day. I've got loads of photography as well. Nature photography primarily. If you go back to my old Instagram, actually, let me just I could share this with you quite quickly. I have a bit of a backup here. If I go to my profile, and I am on Instagram, by the way, if people were wondering, you can go and check that out. But here is my Instagram page. And before I was a Understanding Conspiracy, it was just me. And before it started getting clogged up with the clown stuff, I did just used to just put my artwork on here, and here's a drawing of a cat I did for our very own Wendy. Unfortunately, this one, Scout, has passed away, and this was for her as like for many reasons, obviously to help me with the channel, but also kind of a thank you to Wendy as well for all her hard work, and it's something to remember Scout by. I did this drawing for her, so here it is, a quick time lapse. This was done over one night, I would say, in 2 sessions. Yeah, I'd say maybe 2 to 3 hour sessions. This was done, just darting back in and out when I had the time. But there it is. That's a quick one. So yeah, pencil drawing is kind of my forte. This is what I do. This is how I do it, and I kind of layer upon layer. Add. There's a method to it. I'm what's called a pencil scratcher. I very much scratch my images into existence. I don't really do lines, and that's what the end result. There we go. Yeah, so I like to draw. Yeah, I'm a creative dude when I can be. But here's some of my photography. A lot of cathedral photography, and this is long before I had anything at all to do with the little season stuff. When I've always been interested in cathedrals. This is Lincoln Cathedral, a beautiful place. I studied right next to this. That's it. This is a watercolor of a heron. I did a while ago, just for fun. Very quickly, just dipped into doing a random painting. Squirrel. Macro photography. I have a super macro lens. I can get extremely close to things, and get a lot of detail, which is fun. Here's a forest walk. Some ducks on a frozen pond in the Lake District. Here's a close-up of an aphid on a tack. Yeah, I'm very much a fan of nature. If you could look here as well, there's actually a heron right there, which is quite nice, quite dramatic. Snowflake up close, Yeah, I've got quite a lot of photography on here. If you want to go look back, here's a money spider really, really close up as well. There's the painting, the actual image of the painting I did. Spider up close, doing its web. A moth up close, isn't that cute? Who knew moths were actually quite cute up close, hey? Look at that thing. Creepy looking fruit fly. More spiders. A wasp head up close. Very hairy, aren't they? You wouldn't think wasps are that hairy, but look at them. Snail. Spider. A smiling goat. Another moth head. A daddy long leg. A Falcus phalangoid, as it's known. A spider. A fly. More moths, an ant up close. Yeah, a lot of up close photography. I really got into that for a while. I had a moment. There's a robin. Someone bought this actually, a print of this one. Another robin. There's a tree sparrow. I like this one personally. It's one of my personal favorites. I do have prints of this available actually. If anyone wants a print of this, I actually have prints of this. Let me just quickly have a look. 1 second. Yeah, give me. There's a butterfly, a cave, a crow. Lots of photography here. I'm getting a bit of a blast from the past. Lots of nice pictures for you to go look at. It goes way back in time. I really got into flowers for a long time as well. You can see I go through my stages. So Instagram really was my photography place, and some drawings in there. The dangers of messing with the new age and making it your god, The camera wasn't that great back then, so I did the best I could with what I had. And as you can see, the quality got significantly better as time went on. Here's when I went through my sacred geometry phase, just before I was saved. Perhaps why I was hyper interested in nature and clouds, my psychedelic phase, It goes back in time, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, there you go. There's an example of some of my photography work before it turned into what it is today. You can go and check that out. But I do want to show you, I do actually have some random... I've got this file full of old stuff here. And I swear I put some of my photography in this. Nope, it's all just paperwork now. Tell you what, bear with me. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just check something. Oh, here we go. Found another file on the back there. Look at this thing. I've got some nonsense from university, talking about more nonsense. I've got my dissertation from university, my 10,000 word document about occult art, and how it's just everywhere. And I didn't know what I knew then, but yeah. There's another nonsense. This is where the channel came from for my university project. I've got 2 volumes of the Iconoclast from back in the day. Do you remember that guy? What happened to him, eh? That guy was cool. I got a painting here of lilies. I think it's ink on paper, a very old one, a bit tattered. It's got a few stains on it here and there. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, if anything ever, but that's an original. What else have I got in here? Got an old sketchbook. What's in this? Creepy stuff. Oh, look, a pencil drawing of an early rendition of what the Nephilim may have looked like. Look at that thing. Classic. I'm getting nostalgic looking at this stuff. I haven't looked at this stuff in years. What else is this? There's some other rubbish in here. Oh, here's a random drawing I made where I was trying to like create what it's like to be a new ager, and really got like your own demon controlling you in the background. But you think you're so deep. I didn't get very far into that one, to be honest. Yeah, this is a very old sketchbook that I don't think I never really did much in this one in the end. It was more of a doodle pad than anything, that one, I suppose. And I do also have here a big wad of some of those photos you saw, but print instead. There's the snowflake, for example, and there's a robin doing its thing, and some photography there of St. Paul's Cathedral in London as well. And yeah, but a lot of archaeology, a lot of photography of buildings. We've got my hometown there. We've got Amsterdam here as well. And again, I took all these before I really knew anything about the little season as well. I've always had a fascination with them. Got a landscape one there with an old building kind of built into it in the Lake District. Yeah, I made a habit of printing them all, thinking people might be interested in buying them, but no one ever bought them. No matter where I put them, no one cared. What else have I got? I've got quite a few. I've got a bee. I've got some trees. I've got this is the one I like. This one the most. I'm a fan of this one. Like, I think I did quite well with the composition on this. A tree sparrow. Can't go wrong, can you? I gave my mum a copy of this, and she still has it on her walls for what that's worth. My mum thinks I'm cool, that kind of stuff. I've got dragonflies. I've got more robins doing its thing. Random. Oh, I've got another copy of the tree sparrow. I got a few of them. I got a butterfly doing its thing there. That was quite dramatic. I like that one. Yeah. So there you go. You asked me what artwork I like to do the most. You tell me. I don't know. I keep it broad. I keep it eclectic. I do my thing. If anyone wants a print, maybe I could send some out in the post to anybody who's interested. Let me know, and I'll give you a random price. I don't know what I would even charge for something like this. Maybe, I don't know, £20 a print. That seems like a fair price, doesn't it? I did have all my work up once on other things, other websites, but I think I stopped paying for the domains, and I think all of them have disappeared now. So I don't think there's even a showcase of those prints anywhere anymore. But maybe I'll put them back up on the Understanding Creativity channel. Who knows? We'll see. Those would be a beautiful calendar project. Joyful, maybe I need to do that, don't I? Yeah, I'll make a calendar. Alice asked, is it accurate that to be in the little season, Jesus would necessarily be in heaven? No. Not necessarily. No. It's possible he could be on Earth somewhere. Physically. It could be. Or it could be with the Father in heaven at the right hand of the Father as well. He could do both. Maybe he can go. Nothing's stopping the guy from doing whatever he wants whenever he wants, to be honest. He's supreme. He's king. But I don't know what your question is there exactly. What is it you're trying to find out? Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. My headphones just started talking back to me again. That happens every now and then on this, I've noticed. I don't know what's going on with these headphones, but they randomly start talking to me, and it's really disconcerting. Let me just put them back in this case. I got these free because I bought a new phone, a Samsung S25, and they sent me a free pair of the latest Samsung wireless headphones. It came with the deal, and they're okay. But they do weird stuff every now and then. Like I said, like they randomly start playing videos back to me that I'm not listening to or playing. Yeah. Storage fee plus shipping, those are great ideas. I don't know what we're talking about here. Paul, sir, you are a gem. I feel privileged for you to show. Well, I wouldn't feel privileged to listen to me just ramble on. I really wouldn't. Yeah, but thanks anyway. I appreciate the support there. Smiling Goat is now my favourite. Says Little Season Fellowship. Yeah. I like that one too. I thought it was cute. I was just right moment, right time, wandering through the Lake District in the UK, and there's just sheep and goats just chilling all over the place. And that one just looked really smug and satisfied with itself. So I thought I'd capture that moment. Paul, do you know if you are visually right or left eye dominant? I'd say this one is more dominant. Is that my left or right? It's my right. My right eye is more dominant, I would say. Yeah. Every time I get eye tests, this one's always blurrier than that one. I can say that much. What's your thoughts on Insane Clown Posse? I don't have any thoughts to give you at this moment, but somebody who is a juggalo reached out to me wanting to share his story of how he is both a Christian and a juggalo. And I've imagined how these conversations would go many times, because he's not the first juggalo to reach out to me wanting to talk. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to bite my tongue very long before basically saying you can't go around listening to music about hatchet men tearing people apart and butchering and murdering people and at the same time claim to be a Christian. It's an oxymoron. It's counterintuitive. And you also can't go around dressing like a clown and not suffer the consequences of being possessed and influenced by demons. That's just how it works, unfortunately. So it's kind of like, I'm going to have to say that, and then we're going to be at an impasse, aren't we? So I don't know what I'm supposed to say, really. I don't know. I don't know. Pointillism. Nothing but dots of ink, says Michael Esperance. How he likes to draw. I like that term, pointillism. Any plans to cover the art styles when it comes to arts-related Bible in understanding conspiracy, says Chris? I'm not sure what you mean by arts-related Bible. I don't know what you mean by that, Chris, if you could elaborate a bit more. Sorry, let me get back to the bottom of the chat here. Cult of Cons in the house. Well, perhaps you should interview the Juggalo then. Just do it to him. They can set themselves up to be corrected. Maybe, you know. Well, look, I don't want to like lambast anyone for their lifestyle choices. Who am I to judge? You know, at the end of the day, it's not up to me. But maybe it would be worth getting him on just to share what he thinks he believes exactly, and you know, the dark carnival mythos, as they call it. You know, I've heard it 1,000. Like, people contact me assuming I haven't been doing this for 8 years. And that I don't know about what they believe and what they're talking about, and it's kind of, I don't know, in a way, fair enough. Like, but I don't want to get people on the channel so I can like tear down their beliefs. You know, I don't want. I'm not that guy. That's not what I'm after doing exactly. Unless you're a terrible artist and you're trying to, then maybe I will tear you down on the Understanding Creativity channel in some way. If like some sort of satanic pervert out there trying to pass yourself off as talented or something. But I think a lot of the juggalos mean well. I don't think they're evil inherently. I think they're just dabbling with things they don't really understand. looking for a sense of community at the end of the day. So yeah, it's kind of, it is what it is. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna get them on as a guest or not, to be honest. What's this? Challenge accepted by my wife. What did I do? What challenge did I give? I'm the weirdo who only uses wired headphones. I mean, I used to just get £10 pair of headphones, you know, really cheap, and just burn through them like every month because a connection always goes eventually, and that's what you've always seen me wear, the wired ones. Because I got these for free, I thought maybe wireless would be useful for these shows, but it's kind of like a mixed bag. Like, they are and they aren't good. I don't know, but I think the wireless thing is useful, but I understand people are worried about frequencies and waves and all that kind of thing. But I very much live by the no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm sure God or Jesus will protect me from any evil waves or anything that could be nefarious in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to live in fear. You know, I'm going to walk it upright in the spirit instead. And then another drawing here I just found on the desk. It must have fallen off the top, but look, it's a Nephilim skull. Yeah. I could sell this one. Anyone want to buy this for 30 quid? Something like that. I don't know. Like, I'm just going to sell all my artwork now. I'll sign it for you. It's a Paul Stobbs original. You can get yourself some lilies. You can get some elongated skulls. We have an eclectic taste here at Stobbs Media. Come and check it out. And get yourself a print of a snowflake while you're at it. I only use wired ones on stream. The old reliable $5 Sony earbuds. That's what I mean. I used to get I maybe I'll go back to them one day, but these have just turned up in my life for free. So why not? I'll take it and give it a go. To be fair, they started as Inner City Posse and rebranded when it went nowhere. Doesn't make it better, but it wasn't a plan from the start to be clowns. No, not at all, but I think it's a bit suspect now that they do a Halloween show in a Freemason hall every single year. I think things may have evolved a little bit from the humble beginnings, let's say. You know? I think things got a little bit out of hand. I think dressing like a clown will inevitably lead to Nephilim behavior, is all I can say. There is a connection to clowns and the Nephilim. Great documentary called Full Disclosure, Hollywood Insiders. Are you telling me, Machete, that there is a connection to clowns and the Nephilim? Are you like trying to school me by suggesting a documentary? If that's the case, I'm not sure you know who I am. I'm just going to say that. All right? I'm just going to say that. And I'm not trying to like... I think you should go check out my channel is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Or maybe read the book that's advertised here behind me. Elongated skull is badass. Yes. I know, right? I just thought it was fun. I don't know why. I don't know what. But back in the day, my early Nephilim research days when I was being inspired, you know, I just drew one of them. Why not? Why not? Most famous artists' backstory is completely made up, but that's true too, yeah. That clowning around, haha, says Ghost Law. I don't know what that means. You can't go around dressing like a clown and not suffer the consequences of being possessed and influenced by demons. Challenge accepted, says my wife. I didn't realize that was a challenge, but by all means, go ahead and see where it goes. Talking about the Inner City Posse again. I have no affiliation to the ICP. I'm from Flint, not Detroit. Just want to make that clear. Machete, like, I don't want to. I'm not from where those guys are from, you know. We've been talking about you, Wendy. Yes, but yeah, Wendy, we talked about you earlier. I showed quickly the drawing I did of Scout for you, and of course, gave you a thank you for all the hard work you do for us. I'm just saying I agree with you. I know you. I'm not putting you down, man. I'm not putting you down. I'm going to go drive home now. See you later. Honk, honk, says Connor. Well, thanks for popping by. I would love for you to do a video on the music of the Glue Collective, Igloo Ghost, Kai Whiston, and Bab E. I don't know what you just said to me. Was that English? Those names are very fitting for an understanding creativity video. I'll look into it though. Thanks for the suggestion. What are we on now? 1 hour 43. Guys, you got me for about 10 more minutes. So get some questions in. If you want to get questions in, you can give me something to rant about for 10 minutes, and we can call this show a successful show and call it an end. Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody who's donated so far to this show. Jerry, us so far, SC Webb, Nancy, Alex. I hope I've answered your questions well enough. We've got Scott as well. Great questions for those who have asked today. I really appreciate it. And obviously, I appreciate the fan funding as well. If there was ever a time where I actually needed people to like support me, it's right now, because it's kind of I've lived a relatively easy life when it comes to cars up until this point. Like I've always just the really old cheap cars that have just lasted a long time, and it's finally just given up on me, and I'm in a position where it's like I need a family car, and it's like cars are expensive all of a sudden, and everyone's trying to rip me off wherever I go, and it's always finance this and finance that, and I don't know. So any support would be welcome, guys. If anyone wants to help the fund to get my family a car again, I'm open to anything at all. Honestly, but thanks to those who have donated. Honestly, it means the world. You guys should check out the moon map contained within Mars, which is contained within Jupiter. It's mind-blowing. It's just planet within planet within planet, like a Russian doll effect. I'll have to look into that. Insider scoop from the wife. Paul showed his drawings, inevitably led to a We Love Wendy filled chat. Yeah, that's right. Any thoughts on a connection between demons and parasites, says Colin. Again, Colin, do you know where you are? Let me just, rather than just talk about it, as I have done before, let me just show where I'm at with demons or parasites. So if I go to my videos and I organize them by views, I think you'll find that these days, I'll even share the screen with you for this one, from behind the scenes here in Paul's YouTube studio. But right at the top there, my most viral video coming in at a cool almost 500,000 views is the demonic parasite presentation. Okay, so here it is. The demonic parasite presentation. Yes, I've made a few connections between demons and parasites before. Okay, with the help of Vitali from Alpha Talks and Joe from JT follows JC, we do a talk about the demonic parasites right there on that video. It's my most viral video, and I don't talk about it very often, if that often at all, but that's the thing that went viral all of a sudden. And my most viral Nephilim clown video got demonetized because I got a little bit edgy with talking about other people's cultures. So yes, I do know about the parasites are demons connection. Go and watch this presentation on my channel if you want to listen to me talk about it. There you go. Why spend time on it now when we could just go and find out for yourself, eh? So yeah, there you go. Let me just quickly switch that back. How's your second book coming along? It's like I said, I've kind of put it aside because I'm not happy with the first one. I'm doing the audiobook for the first one now, combing through it, doing some minor edits for the second edition, because I want to make at the end a combined 1 and 2 book. It's going to be one book, both volumes in the end. So I'll sell 2 volumes separately if we want to buy them separately, but there'll be a combined version. But I'm not happy attaching volume 1 to the second book until I know that's completely fixed. No errors, no issues, perfect book, you know. And I'm my own worst critic, so I'll never be fully happy, but that's what I'm doing. I'm finalizing 1. I kind of stopped a quarter of the way through 2, so I've written about 3 or 4 chapters for 2. So it's still a work in progress. You know, I'm hoping maybe in a year, by next year, this time it'll be done and ready, and then the whole thing will be boxed off. I'm about to finish the audiobook and finalizing the second one, and then I can just concentrate all the time I've been doing in that, my spare time, onto writing and concentrating on writing. I'm even considering actually cutting back on YouTube, maybe having like 2 weeks off where all my time will be spent on writing rather than making content for YouTube. But to do that first, I need to compile a load of videos to release during those 2 weeks. Because it would just be a huge hit to my living if I did that, you know, and obviously it messes with the algorithm, and then the channel could just be nuked and destroyed if I don't keep up the wave. You have to. This is how YouTube works. You got to create content for more people to see your content. Otherwise, they stop pushing out your content to people. It's really a horrible game, which is why I'm also trying to set up and establish onto podcast only. So all my stuff goes into podcast format as well. It's a game. It's a balancing act. I have a lot of projects on. I've got the other channel now, Understanding Creativity, as well as the book, you know, and I make adverts in between for the books too, and I've got interviews to do here and there. I've got my own live shows. It's just a non-stop thing, you know. But the second book is on its way. It's on its way, yeah. But I'm not rushing anything now. I'm just gonna get it right. I think that's the best way of doing it. Matrix Unravel, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Nancy, towards the family vehicle. Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, that's really nice. You've done enough though. You don't have to keep donating, honestly. Like you've supported me enough throughout the years. I have to say, some people that watch this channel are not aware of all of his work. Maybe this needs to be told about the video. Yeah, and I know. I'm being facetious. I'm having fun. I know not everyone's going to know everything I've ever done, but if it comes to clowns, yeah, I know about the clowns. If it comes to the demons or parasite things, I definitely know about the demon parasite connection. I think I'm not here to like brag or anything. Obviously, I think Mind Unveiled covered it. And then Vitali covered it as well on his channel. And then when I got them on my channel to cover it, that presentation blew up and went seriously viral, like very quickly. And then next thing I know, everyone's talking about the demonic parasite connection. So I think, I could be wrong, I think I started a trend by having Vitali on my channel to share that information. It's amazing how things go. Now everybody's talking about demons and parasites all of a sudden. So I think it worked. The message is out. We did something. We won. We won that one. Let me just quickly catch up with the chat. Love to see you speak to a modern sculpture about the details and statues from 300 to 500 years ago and get their opinion on the level of detail. That's not a bad idea, Vaughn. Maybe I'll look out for some sculptor artists and see if they want to come to the channel. Paul, get a pre-order going for the audiobook to raise dough for the car. I'll buy one when it's up. Like I don't like making promises, like, and setting dates and times and like pre-order stuff. You know, I maybe it might not be a bad idea, but I plan to get it released hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Like, if I can keep going at the pace I'm going, I can get the audiobook probably boxed off by the end of the month. Hopefully, roughly, at least get it done by mid-July and published and out. You know, we'll see. It's like, you think things are going to be quicker than they actually are. Then when you actually do the process, it's a long, grueling, horrible process with many pitfalls and problems along the way. But I'm doing the best I can. We'll see. Do you have a favorite conspiracy that makes you nuts, or any that just get in there and deep dive in that hole? Are there any that you just despise? Random thought, despise. Oh my, thanks, much obliged, says Ghost Law. Favorite conspiracies? I mean, it's hard to describe them like that because they're always horrific and horrible and quite disturbing, you know, about the nature of reality. My favorite conspiracy topic is the Nephilim clown connection, naturally, because it's my own thing, and I love spiritual warfare and understanding biblical history, and that's kind of my forte. But for a couple of years there, you know, I was a little bit obsessed with the Millennial Kingdom stuff, and I'll always have a place in my heart, you know, and will never leave. But I mean, I don't have favorite conspiracies exactly. It's not a hobby for me. It's not a novelty. Do you get what I mean? This is my life. My channel is dedicated to helping communicate the message that there is a conspiracy to a wider audience. And I don't focus on one thing necessarily. I'm quite eclectic and broad with the topics I discuss, because I'm trying to generate intrigue to people who otherwise would scoff and laugh at the idea. So I don't play favorites, but I do have my moments where I get a little bit obsessed myself with certain things. That's for sure. Paul, when I found your channel, I went deep and watched pretty much your entire catalogue. Love your work, man. Great video quality as well. God bless you, brother, says Jeff. Oh, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. I'm glad it hooked you in. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, trying to get people excited about being a truther, you know, and not scared or embarrassed to call themselves a conspiracy theorist. Like, I think you should own it. That's exactly what we are, and that's okay. Major brag. I'll bring him back down to earth with my clown plan, says the wife. Yeah, they're coming for me. She's coming for me. Don't buy a British car, says BioChris. Well, you know what? As long as it has 4 wheels and engine and moves, I'm pretty happy. But people keep telling me to buy Japanese. Buy a Nissan or a Toyota is what people keep telling me. We'll see, eh? We'll see how it pans out. I mean, just asking about theory in general. Hang on. I'm losing the chat here. It's kind of jittering away from me in OBS. Sorry, guys. Like, a used Subaru can go 150,000 plus miles. Interesting. I'll bear that in mind. I'd like to get something less than 150,000 miles, though, personally. I'd like it to last a little bit longer, you know. I'm looking for longevity here. Just found your channel last week and have been burning through videos and podcasts as much as possible. Love your work, man. Keep up. Thanks for your hard work, says Lead on Steel. Thanks. And thanks for making it to the live shows as well. These are always fun. You know, I enjoy doing these. I look forward to at the end of a long week, you know, or a day. There's nothing better than a truth or therapy session, is there? Just to recap on what happened in the last week and just checking how we're all doing, how we all feeling about what just went down. Because I'm not too sure myself most of the time how I actually feel about most of the world right now and what's happening in front of our eyes. I'm not surprised, I can say that, about anything anymore. It's kind of like, yep, that fits in perfectly with the agenda. I see it. It's happening. It's all coming to plan. It's all going by the script, isn't it? You know, that's probably the best way to describe it. All right, guys, I've got 4 minutes left here according to my thing before I kind of hit the 2-hour mark. So I'm going to have to start winding this down, unfortunately. Again, thank you to everybody who's been in the chat and joining in and for the questions and for making this show happen at the end of the day. Thank you for the donations as well. I'll keep you all posted on the car and how that's going. If anyone wants to support me at all, a good way is to buy a book. So go to Amazon, get The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, get your own copy, or buy the audiobook when that comes out as well. So at least you get something in return, you know, and you're not just giving me money. If you do want to just give me money, I'm not going to say no. I'll never look a gift horse in the mouth, I think is the phrase. I have a PayPal or a Patreon. Sign up to Patreon. Loads of extra stuff on there for you guys as well, you know. Get a year's subscription, and it comes up like, I think, 15 or 20% cheaper than doing it monthly or something. That could always be a major help to me. And again, you get something in return. Or there's just Patreon, and that's how we do signed copies of the book. So if you want to get yourself a signed copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, I can do that for you. I have a new batch coming in on the 23rd. It might even be earlier. Sometimes they always turn up a bit earlier, but I've got 5 more of these paperbacks coming in and 6 more hardcovers coming in as well. So if you want to pre-order one of them, I think I have like 4 or 3 available of the hardcovers, and I have the paperbacks available as well. So you can get yourself and pay for one of them now, and when they turn up, I'll send them straight to you in the post. Email me at understandingconspiracy gmail.com, and we can arrange to get that organized, and we can get you a signed copy. So there we go, guys. That's how you can support me. I think we can leave Destination Shilltown now and move just to the simple goodbyes. Thanks for listening. I'll be back soon with more content as usual. I'll be doing the Truth or Therapy session on Sunday. I will be releasing a talk on Friday that I had with Beck from Oz, sharing her spiritual experiences, coming to God, UFO experiences, demonic experiences as well, and spiritual warfare. It was a fascinating conversation. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it as well. So that should be coming on Friday, and I'll be back Sunday with a Truth or Therapy session. And I'm going to look for a guest. We'll see if we can get someone to hop on and join in with me and have a talk, and get into what's going on in the world, maybe. I'll see. I'll have a nosy around my little black book of conspiracy theories I kind of networked with over the years and see if anyone wants to join me. So there's plenty of stuff coming in the future, guys. Please go and subscribe to the new channel, Understanding Creativity. More videos are going to be dropping on there very soon as well. We're going to get into the occult world of Georgia O'Keeffe and Oppenheimer, the atomic bomb. We're going to talk about a lot of crazy things on there, mixed in with the art world. Fascinating stuff. So look forward to that too. And I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.